I'm a composer and a music teacher, and today I'm listening to the Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles soundtrack for the very first time. I have never heard this before in my life, so join me live as we uncover hidden connections, understand how music works, and, at least speaking for myself, I'm gonna have some fun along the way while we do it. Let's get this thing started with title screen Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Okay. So what we heard going on here is actually a radically different departure from the title screens we've heard so far in this Sonic series. And I'm like, was not paying attention. Transparently, I was getting my stream set up. I forgot to click a couple buttons. I'll pull this back one more time. Really? No wonder I wasn't just catching that straight off the bat. Okay, first of all, the insanity begins early here with just that title screen. By the way, it's not every day that we get to a title screen and I have to listen to it 3 times with a puzzled look on my face, being like, what is happening here? Okay, so in terms of the harmony, I'm gonna say we're in the key of G major, but as you're about to see in a second, we're not really in the key of G major. I mean, we kind of are, sort of. We're just gonna use this to think about it. Okay, so it starts with, right, sure, fine. We're the one, and then it goes to, ba 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 ba, which is now like a 5 minor to F, ba 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 do, flat 7, ba ba, to a 5 major. What? It is also not every day that the first, like the title theme is a chord progression I have never heard. But I'm not saying I've heard every chord progression in my life, but I've been playing, listening to music for a long time. And so when we come across chord progressions like this, where it's like, I have never heard an underlying harmony of a piece be this before. And if we look at the melody, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, or whatever, something like that. Let's see, what is it exactly here? Yeah. Yeah. So we have, it's like a kind of a G Mixolydian melody here. But yeah, first of all, what? Second of all, what? Okay, what's so cool about this? And I know, it's like I'm spending 5 minutes just on this first piece, but this is so nuts. This is nuts. All right, we got the 1, we've got the 5. All right, straight ahead. But here we have the 5 minor, which kind of functions like a subdominant area. And then we got the flat 7, which is a subtonic, just in the title screen theme. I cannot remember a stream where we spent this long just talking about a title screen before. But hey, here we are. That's so cool. Let's keep it going. Dude, this music is next level, bro. It's loopy now. I gotta tell you, I love the music from Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. If you haven't checked out those streams, go check those out. They're all on the Sonic playlist on this channel. And I'm doing them all in a row. So it's like yesterday I listened to Sonic 2. The day before that I listened to Sonic 1. I gotta tell you, this is taking this whole thing to a next level. Not that it's, and to be clear, it's not that it's like, open quote, better, close quote. I don't know why I just said the quotes. I've been spending a lot of time dictating text to my computer, so that might be it. Anyway, it's not that it's open quote, better, close quote. It's the fact that it's just, it's like the difference when you go from the Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy DS, right? In terms of like just like the fidelity of the instruments, the quality of the samples, the amount of space likely that there was just for the different sound cards and the quality of the music, right? Because you compare, by the way, you compare the original demo, like for Green Hill Zone, that was made for Sonic 1 versus the thing that it actually sounds like in the game. It's like, there's a difference right there. And now we're starting to hear, this sounds more like the quality of the demo of Green Hill Zone compared to the actual, you know, sequenced stuff in the game. All right. Yeah, Game Boy DS, right? Or did they just call it the DS? Did they call it the Nintendo DS and I'm saying it wrong? I grew up in the age of Game Boys, so if you hold it in your hands and it's got a screen, I'm probably calling it a Game Boy. Check out Angel Island Act 1, and then, ooh, there's also an Act 2. Let's check this out. We're looping. Okay, so number one, the rhythmic consciousness. All right, spoiler. Someone told me Michael Jackson may or may not have had something to do with this. And separating the man from the art, I'm just gonna say it's one time, we're gonna separate the man from the art for the rest of this stream. Just to be clear, we're just gonna look at the art and we're gonna use the man's name because the man contributed to the art, but we're gonna separate the man from the art. So, I don't know if he contributed to this particular piece of music, but I will tell you the rhythmic consciousness that is the musical manifestation of Michael Jackson's musical genius, bro. Like, for real, is next, and it's in the small stuff too. It's like just how short all the notes are. Like, the shortness of the notes. One of the things, and if you study Michael Jackson, which back in the days when I was writing pop music, I absolutely did, is there's a, and the picture's enough. Do you go do my stuff? And there's this percussive element of everything where there's these short and longs, these attacks that create this rhythmic interest, and we're hearing it all over this. Yeah, right there. And even at the start, having that like, yeah, there's this type of thing. It's not quite it, is it? Yeah. There it is. That type of thing, which we hear all over Mario, we actually heard here in this Sonic the Hedgehog. Absolutely fantastic. Now, yeah, okay. Now, Rakunoavale says that Michael Jackson was actually involved in the later tracks. Yeah, but the question becomes then, like, just because things appear later in the OST doesn't necessarily mean that they were written later. Some of you guys might know this. I'm not sure the level of understanding or insight you have into the development process of this OST. But like, I'll tell you, I was working on an OST not too long ago where the developer had another composer come in before me to score some of the things. And it's like, well, he was like, hey, this is directionally correct. I just couldn't get the right result. I was like, okay, I heard what happened before, and that did influence what came afterwards. In fact, I went and got in touch with that composer, and I'm actually cutting him in on the royalties of the soundtrack, because I was like, bro, there's no way I'm publishing this thing that was clearly influenced by what you made and not giving you some credit for one of the tracks of the OST, to be clear. It wasn't all of them, but it was one of them. And so just because something appears earlier in the track listing of an album doesn't necessarily mean that it was made first. Let's keep it going. Honestly, but it's not, I'm not gonna stop. But it's like, da 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 da. That's from Mario right there. That is. This is so good. Oh my gosh. Right there. Ba, 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 ba. Guys, that is literally a Mario rhythmic motif. Ba, da, do, da, do. All over Mario. So we've heard, by the way, and, you know, when it comes to creating music, there's so many times that you're gonna create something that you could point to something else as being the influence of, or you can say, oh, this sounds like it's over here, but already in the Sonic the Hedgehog 3, this is the... If it was gonna sound Mario-esque, it's the most Mario sounding I know, some of you Sonic diehards are like, why are you talking about that little plumber? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Because the da 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 to end a phrase, to go into a next section, that's a Mario move. Having that little, pop thing of 3. Well, yeah, you can say, well, we hear that all over blues and all over funk fusion. Sure, fine. But still, that is really, really cool. No, and I'm not going to spend this whole OST reaction comparing this to Mario. We're going to do some more breakdowns here. I'm just so thoroughly enjoying this music, I didn't even bother writing anything down because I'm just like having fun. By the way, type a 3 in the chat for Sonic 3 if you are also having fun listening to this music, because this is just straight fire. Straight fire. Let's keep it going. Hydrocity. Second. Now, you might notice I didn't write anything down during that. It's because, again, that was just so freaking amazing. It was so good. That was like... I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant where the food was so good. And I don't have a habit of taking a photo of my food, but every once in a while I'll go to a restaurant, like maybe it's for an anniversary or a birthday or something, like a special occasion, nicer restaurant, and the food comes out looking so beautiful, I forget to like record the moment because I'm so enjoying the look of the food, and then I just want to eat it and it looks amazing. This was the musical equivalent of that. This was so good. This is reminding me, and I mean this in the highest... No, and I'm not just going to spend the entire OST comparing this to other OSTs. I pinky promise. But like, this reminds me so much of the very best of like Deltarune's Chapter 3 and 4, or Deltarune's Chapter 3 and 4 reminds me of this, to do it in a chronologically correct turnaround. But like, wow. I mean, just wow. I mean, gorgeous. Truly. Truly gorgeous. And this one, beautifully mixed, beautifully balanced. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what mixing is, let me explain to you what mixing is. So we have the way the way that I think about breaking down and understanding music, I call it the 4M Video Game Music Protocol. Long name, fancy name, 4M Video Game Music Protocol. All right. Well, we can use a Video Music Composition Protocol. How about that? So we have the first M is you make the music. Now inside make, you're going to compose it, and then you're going to arrange it. Then you have mixing, which is what we just talked about. I'll explain to you in a second. Then we have mastering, and then we have marketing, right? Because if people don't know about your music and no one listens to it, I mean, look, you might want to, as an artistic statement, create a whole album and then put it on a wax cylinder and ship it on a, spaceship to put it on the moon and be like, the next humans who find this on the moon will be able to enjoy my music. And great, if that's what you want to do, I support you doing that. Now, for the rest of us, we make our music to share with people now. So, that's marketing. Now, your marketing also, by the way, telling people the first person on the moon to get your wax cylinder and play it back in a wax cylinder player is going to be able to hear it. That's also pretty good marketing. Anyway, point is, marketing just means to make known. All right, so when we make music, anyone makes music, you're going to compose it generally, which means you're going to have the theme, the chords, and in a case like this for Hydrocity, you actually had the groove first, which would be the arrangement, and then you arrange. So it's either arrangement first or composition first, depending on the genre, the type of music. Like for something that's a little bit more rhythm-driven like this, you're gonna do the arrangement first, which means you're gonna get the whole groove, the whole feeling down likely, and then build it up. And I only know this because I've listened to, like I said, I made a study of the Jacksons when I was making house music and some more pop music and stuff like that. And you go back and listen to the original demos of how they would make music, and they would just do it all by singing the ideas, and they'd build a groove by singing, and they'd sing all the different parts, and then they'd sing on top of it the melody. Now, mixing, which is what we're talking about right now, mixing is when you take the composition and arrangement and you dial in how much there is of each piece. So we can think about this like baking a cookie. So when we make a cookie, we're gonna get our flour, all right, we're gonna get our sugar or our stevia or whatever. We're gonna get our water. We're gonna maybe get some eggs, etc. And there's probably some other stuff. Maybe you need a milk or almond milk type situation. All right, that's the make. You're getting all of our ingredients. Now, what happens next is we go into mixing. And in mixing, we take all these ingredients and we decide how much flour is gonna go in, how much sugar is gonna go in, how much whatever that is, how much eggs, how much milk, how many chocolate chips are actually gonna go in. So we dial in the amounts. So if you want more chocolate chips, you could put more chocolate. Type CC in the chat for chocolate cabal, which might be spelled with a K, but that's neither here nor is it there. CC in the chat for chocolate. Now, for chocolate crew, there we go. Okay, now, you put more chocolate in, it's gonna be a different mix. You're gonna have a different cookie. Right, have you ever had a chocolate chip cookie with teeny tiny little chocolate chips and you're like, where's the chocolate? And then have you ever had a chocolate chip cookie that has so much chocolate in it, it can't actually hold itself together? Right, that's the mix. So that's dialing in how much drums are there, how much bass is there, how much guitar is there. And then the mastering is when you make sure that mix is going to sound well across all speaker systems. It's gonna sound good in headphones, it's gonna sound good on a TV, it'll sound good on a handheld switch, it'll sound good coming out of a phone. Wherever someone's gonna play the game, you gotta make sure that the music sounds good coming out of it. And that's like baking the cookies in the oven, right? Because then you can take that cookie and you can put the cookie on a shelf, you can give the cookie to an elf, you can eat the cookie by yourself. There's many different ways you can then eat that cookie once it's baked, it's mastered, right? You can kind of bring it anywhere. You can go sell it at a store, you could eat it with I don't know what word you just put in there, but I'm not gonna say that live. You could ask for some more. Point is, you can then transport the cookie around. That's the baking. So this is the oven. This is not an Among Us helmet. This is an oven, all right, with some burners, right? And the cookies go in the oven. Okay, and then marketing is you let people know about the music. And that literally is how you rock and roll with creating video game music. So what we're talking about right now is I'm saying it's mixed amazingly. Like the way they dialed in the amount of bass, the amount of guitar, the amount of every single piece of it is mixed beautifully so you can hear every piece, you can enjoy every piece, but also they come together as a whole experience that you can then enjoy too, the full cookie. So you're enjoying all the individual ingredients, but also enjoying them together as a cookie. And if you're a composer or you want to become a composer, basically if you're a gamer and you want to create your own music, there's a free video game music composer starter pack that's in the video description. It's the pinned comment in the chat. It's gonna be the pinned comment below the stream after we're done. If you wanna compose your own music, we've got such incredible resources for you. We've got a free composer starter pack. Get that on the next page. There's a calendar. You can book a call with my team to actually take your music to the next level, to get your music on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, and into real video games. So go ahead, check that out. And if you're serious about creating your own music, book a call with my team. Go ahead and talk about it. All right, let's keep it going with Hydrocity Zone 2. So good. So good. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Really? Could that be true? It is true. All right, absolutely nuts. So we heard a couple pieces ago this idea of this 1 to 4. And just like in Sonic 2, we had this idea of, it was, what was it at the start of Sonic 2? Let's actually go back and take a peek here. Let us consult the Oracle. And in Sonic 2, what did we have at the start? We had a 1 to 4. No. 1 flat 6. We had a 1 to 5. Okay, so in Sonic 2, we had a 1 to 5 starting off a lot of the chord progressions. Now here, what we're hearing is a change. It's 1 to 4 is starting off the chord progressions. And if you're saying, well, what's the difference between 1 to 5 and 1 to 4? Type a 3 in the chat if that's a question that you are asking yourself right now. What on earth is the difference between this 1 to 5 and this 1 to 4? You and your magic words, you magic worded music man. And if you thought those exact thoughts, you are our winner. Please call in at the number that is flashing at the bottom of your screen to claim your prize of a full set of Tupperware pans. Again, call in at the number of your screen to claim your full set of Tupperware pans. And if you're saying, I can't see the number, that's because you weren't the winner. Only the winners will hallucinate the number on top of the screen. Okay, so what's the difference between a 1 to 5 and 1 to 4? Basically, modern coolness. If I was to summarize the difference between 1 to 5 to 1 to 4, it's modern coolness. So right here at the start of this Hydrocity Zone, we hear which is, again, it's a little Mario-esque. It really is. But we have this 1 to 4, and then sure we have a sharp 4. Really, we have this 1 to 4 relationship right here. And again, back here, we also had a 1 to 4 relationship. So the difference between 1 to 4 and 1 to 5, and why I say modern coolness is this. So 1 and 5, we have a tonic to dominant relationship. The 1 is tonic and the 5 is dominant. And to further understand this and understand the cool factor here, let's first understand tonic and dominant. So tonic is like you are home safe. This is your home base. This is your, tutorial zone where, you're in God mode basically and you can't get hurt, okay? Then we have, that's lowercase g for those of you who were taking offense. Now, so you don't need to take offense. They spelled it with a lowercase g. Then we have the subdominant area. And the subdominant area is like, it's a little bit of adventure. Like we're going out into the world and we're cooking like this. There we go. Going out into the world. That is a world, in case you were wondering. And I know because I asked my mom and she said, yes, Dan, you're great at drawing worlds. And so now I'm fully affirmed and no one can't nobody tell me nothing about me drawing of my drawing of my worlds. Okay, then we go to the, he's got pointy teeth. Death awaits you all with nasty sharp pointy teeth. We go to the boss area and the boss area is the dominant area. And so this is the area of tension, like maximum tension. So we've got adventure, tension, and resolution or safety. Tonic, subdominant, and dominant. 1 and 5, there's a tonic and dominant. So we have like total safety on one side and we've got total danger on the other, which creates this big polarity or a very clear difference, right? It's like if you had, let's say, lemon, you just took a bite of a lemon and they had a chocolate chip cookie. It's like two very different experiences. That's tonic to dominant. Now, 1 to 4 is a little different. 1 to 4, 1 is still the tonic area, it always is. Now 4 is actually the subdominant area. And the difference here is that this has less tension in it. And in a similar way, and I'm reminded of this because I was watching a video of my family doing some folk dancing, because they were all off folk dancing together. And I literally had the thought in my head, be it politically correct or not, I was like, oh my gosh, these people are dancing like white people, was the thought I had about my own family. And by the way, I'm no different. You stick me on a dance floor, it's a little herky-jerky. There's a lot of tension in the body of someone who dances a little choppy, right? Someone who dances choppy, there's tension. Someone who's more fluid and there's less tension, they look more cool while they dance. So when we reduce the amount of tension, we know that the result at the dance level and also at the music level is gonna be there's this more chill, cool, modern type of vibe. In the same way you think about doing like old-fashioned dancing, it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's very uptight. Modern, cool, tonic to subdominant. Now we can talk more about, we can get into the weeds of the music theory of like, why is there more tension versus not? But just actually zooming out and saying, wow, there really is this difference in coolness, the cool factor. And you listen to modern music, by the way, rarely, not all the time, but by and large, modern pop music, not too many 1s and 5s. You're gonna find them every once in a while, but the 1s and 4s absolutely everywhere. So we're hearing a more modern and a more cool, less tension-filled idea in terms of the harmony here in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling with Marble Garden Zone. Minor 4 to 1 right there. All right, so what do we hear? Another groove-based piece of music, and the groove is happening. It starts off, it sounds like we're in the key of C sharp minor, just hanging out on the 1 for some duration of time. And then, it's like no secretly, we were in the key of B major, the whole time, which kinda you are, okay? Because if we think about C sharp Dorian actually has all the notes of a B major scale. So really, hey, maybe actually we were in B major the whole time, but regardless, when we go to the B section, saying words and writing words and letters and things, okay. Then we are in, oh yeah, we are in the key of B. It is also the B section. That was interesting for a moment. All right, so what do we have here? We have minor 4 to 1. Guys, another 4 to 1 in this OST. They're going to be everywhere. They're cropping up like garden gnomes on a haunted garden gnome spawn ground. Because everyone knows exactly what I meant by that, right? Okay, so what did I mean by C sharp Dorian has all the same notes of a B major scale? Well, in any major scale, we've got whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And in the case of starting on B, and then B, a whole step up from B, is going to be C sharp. Now, why is it C sharp? Well, we have 12 notes of music. The 12 notes of music are A sharp or B flat, then we have B, then we have C, then we have C sharp or D flat, then we have D, then we have D sharp or E flat, then we have E, then we have F, then we have F sharp or G flat, then we have G, and finally we got G sharp or A flat. Now, these 12 notes of music, these are everywhere in every genre you've ever heard, except for microtonal stuff and maybe some stuff either based on the maqams from the Middle Eastern tradition, and sometimes the ragas from the Indian tradition, and then also some other indigenous culture musics don't use this exact system, but by and large, most of the music you hear is going to come from this. Now, what we can hear is inside of this system, we have 12 notes. And a whole step is when we skip from one, when we skip to the neighbor, skip, skip, those are whole steps. Half step is when we go from one to the neighbor, one to the neighbor. So we have B, we're going to skip C, we're going to go to C sharp, that's a whole step. From C, we're going to skip D, we're going to go to D sharp, that's a whole step. And by the way, when you have two possible names for the same sound, so that D sharp, that's like this right here. E flat, it's the same sound, different names. In the same way my mother calls me Daniel when I say things that she thinks is inappropriate. And she will just say Dan or Danny boy when she's feeling like I'm saying things that she agrees with. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but anyway. So we have B, we got C sharp, we got D sharp, we've got E, we got F sharp, we got G sharp, and we got A sharp right here. And in here we have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's how we get our major scale. Now, what happens if we use all of these notes, but instead of starting on B, we start on C sharp? Well, now all of a sudden we got C sharp, we got D sharp, we've got E, we got F sharp, we got G sharp, we've got A sharp, and then we've got B. And this, when we start and end on a C sharp, and specifically we're going to emphasize the C sharp, we're going to emphasize the E, and we're going to emphasize the G sharp more than we would over here. Over here, we're going to emphasize the B, the D sharp, and the F. These are called home tones. So our home tones here change. And because our home tones change, what we emphasize, the notes we emphasize out of the same group of notes change. And when we emphasize a different group of notes, it radically changes the sound of what we're hearing. So now that you have heard me talk, hear me play, and I'll give you an example. So if I'm going to emphasize the B, D sharp, and F sharp, that's the D sharp, that's the F sharp, B, F sharp. So everything I played right there was emphasizing. It's not that I didn't play the other notes, it's just I put way more emphasis on the B, the D sharp, or the F sharp. Now, I'm gonna play the same group of notes, and this time I'm gonna put more emphasis on the C sharp, on the E, and the G sharp. added in a couple extra notes there too, but you could hear it's the same group of notes, but radically different. Type a 2 in the chat if you could hear the radical difference between those two things that I played. It's putting emphasis on different notes. That's all it is. And so what we can hear is in this piece of music, yes, think about it as being in C sharp Dorian, but really that's what I was saying. We could think about it as being in C sharp or in B, and it's kind of a potato or potato situation, if you will. All right, let's keep cooking with a Marble Garden Zone Act Dose. Minor 4 to 1 there again. Again, that 4 to 1. Minor 4. Let's discover what that is real quick right there. What is that? Diminished. Interesting. That's so cool. So right here at the end, Trey interesting. If I'm not mistaken. I kind of feel like that's not right. Absolutely nuts. So we hear this minor 4, well, I'm gonna call it 4 minor 6 to 1, 3 times, and then the last time it sounds to me, it's like a 3 diminished to 1. And Evan something in the chat, Evan Estefani. Hey, Evan Estefani. Ivani Stefani. I'm sorry, Ivani. That is 100% my bad. I started reading and did not figure it out. That by the way, that's on me. I apologize. So Ivani Stefani, I'm so sorry. Okay, Ivani Stefani says the bass movement against the chords in all of these songs is masterclass. Yes. Okay, what about the movement of the bass against the chords is masterclass? Well, it's kind of a case of a pedal. It's not a pure pedal in the sense of you have one note that's a pedal in the bass and then chords changing on the top. No, but you have an implied harmony that does create a pedal in the bass and then the chords change on top of that. So what does that mean? Well, oftentimes a pedal will be something like let's do this with a, also get me a little zhuzh on here. Get the idea? There's one note, and then chords change on top of it. Type 1 in the chat if you can hear that there's that one note underneath everything. That is a pedal. Now, when you hear pieces of music like this, this has, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not gonna play it right, but it's like, it's kind of got this C sharp pedal going underneath it where it's implying an area that has this C sharp minor sound underneath it, and then chords change on top of it. That also works as a pedal. Kind of like a, oh, let's see if I can do this. Rather a Jackson thing to do, so you could hear that there was this bass line. By the way, type it 2 in the chat if you could hear that guitar okay. That guitar sounded a little quiet in my headphones. Sounded a wee bit quiet. Where you have this bass line that is circling around the key of A minor, and then on top of that, there are different chords. Boom. All right, let's keep going to Carnival Night Zone. Nice. Okay. So here's the thing, but like, we actually heard some of this back in Sonic Level 2. Can someone remind me of the name of the track where we heard that circus music, and we're hearing it here again. Let's check out Carnival Night Zone Act 2. Ah, similar. At least how it starts. It's hammer time. Now that sounds like a Michael Jackson groove. So underneath this circus madness really is here. The dump, dump, bump, bump. With those drums, that is Jackson-esque. I will tell you that. Beautiful stuff. Let's keep going to Ice Cap Zone Act 1. All right, so to isolate one part of this beautiful piece of music, the Ice Cap Zone, in the key of C minor, we hear, let's get a, oh, there's a clean sound. We hear 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5 minor, 1, flat 3, flat 7, flat 7. Beautiful stuff. Let's keep it cooking. By the way, please feel free to ask your questions about the OST. If you have any questions about the music in particular or how something's working, put the questions in the chat. I'm very happy to answer those questions as we go along here. That's one of the advantages of being live. And yes, we are live. Demord 3017. Nidird. F222. Matt NL. Ultimate Text Box Gaming 3703. Shout outs to all of you beautiful people. All right, let's keep it going. Same chord progression right there that we just broke down. Okay, so in this, let's actually break down the melodies. We have So we have the first idea. I'm gonna call that motif 1. Then we have motif 2. Then we have motif 1 again. And then that'll be motif 3. So if we were to break this down, I'd actually call this 2 subphrases. So we have motif, oopsie daisy. We have motif A. Oh, A, ah. Then we have motif B. Rip. Ba-da-da-da. Then we have motif A. To motif C. And I'd call this subphrase A. Then I'd call this subphrase A prime. Why? Because they both start with the same motif A, and then it's just the difference at the end there. So really, this melody, if we were to break it down, is quite simple and straight ahead. It's 2 subphrases stacked together with the same idea starting off both parts of the melody, and then just a slight difference in the ending here in motif B, and then motif C being just one single note. All right, let's keep it cooking. Delay, RGC said it didn't loop yet. Okay, we'll listen for a couple more seconds here. All right, we got the loop. Excellent. Let's check out Launch Bass Zern. Yes, I see you, chat. Hard times, understood. What a bass line, bro! Oh my goodness. Go, go, go. What a crazy bass line. It's just that bass line. By the way, I think that's what it was. That's stacked fifths. That is so cool. key of G minor. That's a 4-to-1 right there. Check that out. That's a 4-to-1. Now I want to get this bass line with that. Why am I not hearing that? Da, da. There we go. All right, check this out. That right there, that's stacked fifths. All right, so what is stacked fifths? Well, let's go back to our beautiful circle here. Anytime we go up 5 like this is going to get us to a fifth. So if B is 1, C sharp is 2, D sharp is 3, E is 4, F sharp is 5. So F sharp is the fifth of B. Same thing here. C sharp is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5. So G is the 5 of C sharp. So what are stacked fifths? It's where we go up a bunch of fifths in a row. So we start on D, so start on G, we go up a fifth to D, we go up a fifth to A. And then it's a little flat 7, 1, 5, back down to G. But that alone right there, that bass line is sick. Who writes bass lines like that? Something like that. Sick. Absolutely sick. Let's keep it going. Act 1 boss. Yeah, that's Michael Jackson. Absolutely gorgeous, fun, funkadelic, and incredible use. The second time ever, I believe, in this Sonic OST franchise that we listened to so far, if you'd call it a franchise. I'm not sure the exact word here, but Over all of the Sonic OSTs we've heard, I think this is the second time only we've actually heard a human voice be sampled and brought into what's going on. Let's check out Act 2 of The Boss. Well, interestingly, Act 2 Boss is the most Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 track we've heard so far in Sonic 3. Indeed, not only do we hear a chord progression, we heard all over Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, which is going to be that, well, especially Sonic 1, and be that 1 minor, and then we had a flat 7, and then in like the B section, it was flat 6, flat 7, to 1 minor. That right there, classic Sonic 1 vibes, feelings, feels. Give that classic Sonic 1 drip. I'm cool. Yeah. Let's keep it going with bonus stage. Absolutely gorgeous. Bonus stage, Gumball. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We're going to go straight on to Slot Machine. A lot of gambling for a kid's game. Let's check it out. There's our B section. And we're looping. Let's go to the next one. Glowball. Do an analysis on this next one. Wow. So you can hear throughout the entire A section of this Glowball theme, it's grooving in the key of E. And not just any E, we hear an E7 chord. So I'm gonna say it's in the key of E, but really what we have is we have a 1-7 chord that just grooves on for some time. And if you wanna say, well, Dan, how do you know? And can you prove it to me, sir? Of course I can. Here we go. You'll notice that entire time I was playing an E7 chord and it worked over the music. There you go. All right, check out the next one, Special Stage. Interesting. Four to 1. 6, 6 minor major 7, 6 minor 7, back to 1. The flat 7. So this special stage also is calling back to Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Why and how, you may ask? Well, it's doing it with two things. Number one is the key of A major is calling back to Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Why? Because in like the Invincibility theme, the title themes, all of those were in A major. What's the second way it's calling back to Sonic 1 and 2? Well, it's through the use of the 1 and then the flat 7 chords that we're hearing in the A section or B section or whatever section it was of this piece of music. We're hearing that same that we heard back in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Let's 3 it going with Theme of Knuckles. Groove it. Groove it. Cook it. Oh! Oh, is this it? Oh, we had an Well, I will say that is a gnarly beat. I transparently was anticipating something else happening and was not disappointed when it didn't. It sounded great. All right, let's keep it going with Invincible. Okay, now, interestingly, the Invincible theme is related to Sonic 1 and 2, but not the way you might expect. Invincible in Sonic 3, we are in the key of G major, which is different from Sonic 1 and 2, where in the Invincible, we were in the key of A major. Now, here's the connection. The connection is that the chords, we have the 1 chord to the flat 7 chord. Now back in Sonic 1 and 2, we still had the 1 and the flat 7, except it was not, I repeat, not in the key of G major, it was actually in the key of A major. So instead of being, I'm paraphrasing, it would be, I don't even remember if it was the right melody, but I do remember those chords. So it is the same underlying harmony, regardless of the melody, which does create a connection, a sonic connection, a blue magical sonic connection between Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3. Type a 3 in the chat if you stuck to the sonic connection. Also type a 3 in the chat if you're having a nice time in the stream. Let's keep this going to Drowning. All right, so drowning. What makes drowning sound like you're going to drown? Well, number one, we have a Jaws connection. What is the Jaws connection between the music in Drowning and the movie Jaws, which if you don't know is about a big old shark in the big old ocean? And yes, I'm gonna spoil that for you. It came out like 50 million years ago. So, you know, it's been out for a while. So in Jaws, we have this type of thing for the music. This is my little fin. That's me with my little Jaws fin. Now, what do we hear right there? That is the interval of a minor second, aka small m, big 2. Minor second. Now, minor second is a half step. If you recall from earlier in the stream, we were talking about the full musical alphabet. We had these little half steps between the neighbors. So here we have the neighbors. So here in Jaws, we have E to F. That is the Jaws connection. Now, in Drowning, it's not quite E to F. No, it's actually C to D flat in Drowning, but it still has that half step neighbor connection. You can see right here, we have neighbors, and right here, we have neighbors. So that Drowning actually has a half step in it. But here's the thing, to say that it is referencing Jaws, I don't think would be correct. However, what I would put to you, ladies, gentlemen, and non-ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I said non-ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is we have that minor second creates tension. If I play it together, type a D in the chat if you find that to be, well, dissonant. And sure enough, it is dissonant. If we play it together, it's dissonant. If we play it next to each other, it is a dissonant sound. And so that dissonance creates a feeling of, oh my gosh, something wrong is happening, which is you're about to drown. Let's keep it going to the next one, which is gonna be a competition. All right, so what did we have there? We had a groove in the key of E minor. And yes, the chords changed above, but just like we were talking about before, how you can have a pedal of... And yes, I have to make that face while I play it, otherwise it just doesn't work, see? See, if I don't have the right face, it doesn't work. What if I go... Then it actually works. I'm kidding. For those of you taking that little, that was a joke. So we have a bass line that's based around the key of E and then chords changing above that. That's the same idea of having a pedal, but it's more of like a implied harmonic pedal, and then you change chords above it. Let's keep cooking with Azure Lake. Now this is a pedal with chords changing above it. Still C. Great example of a pedal here. Now it changes. So what do we hear? Primarily, the entire bass line of this whole piece is a pedal C. It's just a C note played over and over again. And if you don't believe me, I will prove it to you. In fact, I'll prove it to you so much. Watch this. I'm gonna play it. Here's my old high school trick here. Yeah, we need flexible now. See how my finger is not moving? And it still matches with the music. See, look, I can even play it over this shoulder. I can even put a leg over it. Yeah, well, I just unplugged my headphones, but you get the idea. It's one note. It's just one note. Oh, you guys like that? You guys like that? You like the behind the head thing? Ah! Okay. Let's keep it going. Oh, now my wires are all tangled up. That's okay. Let's keep it going with Balloon Park. Then here, I might have just written down slightly wrongly, but the point remains, we have a 1 chord for an extended duration. Then it sure does go to a, oops, wrong color, that's all right. We have a 1 chord for extended duration. Then we do go to a 4 chord, and then to a 5 chord, and then we back in black, to the 1 chord again. Let's keep it cooking with Chrome Gadget, which is also my nickname in high school. No, I did not notice the difference between that and Michael Jackson Black or White. Also wasn't looking for it. What a different vibe, man. And right here, before it loops. What do we have there? Guess it. It's a modern sound. Guys, again, in this OST, we've got another 4 to a 1 movement. It is all over this thing. Sonic 3 might as well be called more like Sonic 4 to 1. We have a 4. And be saying, well, yeah, because the lowest note was B flat in both of them, it's really more like a 1 sus 4 to a 4. Well, what do you think a 1 sus 4 to a 4 implies? It implies a 4 to 1. So, there you go. Or the other way around. Let's check out Desert Palace. All right, first, before I click play on this, I want to take some bets in the chat. We're going to do a poll real quick. Here's what I want to know. Only vote if you don't know the answer. All right, so Desert Palace equals desert meme music, yes, no. Let's see a vote. I'm gonna say yes, Desert Palace probably has a desert meme sound going on it. Vote in that thing and let me know what you think. Oh, we got a bunch of no's, we got a bunch of yeses. This is interesting. Desert Palace, desert meme music. All right, 10 votes in. If you're not, even if you're just lurking, take a second, vote on it, participate just a little bit. You don't have to if you don't want to, but this is my invitation to you. If you'd like to participate, participate. If you're lurking, we're gonna let this vote run for about another 10 seconds here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Okay, so we have the numbers are in. We have no 62%, yes 38%, so I'm guessing some of you already know that it's not gonna be desert music, but we're gonna see in a moment. Let's check it out. that is not desert meme music. The no's have it. Wow, this is the most Japanese track we've heard so far. Gonna rewind real quick here. Too far. Well, far and away, the most, like that was so far away from desert music that was Japanese. Not that there might not be some desert areas in Japan. I am not so learned about the geography and topography and such of Japan that I would know, or the climates. I don't think either of those was technically correct. Geography maybe of Japan. There might be some desert areas, but this was certainly not a desert area. And why do I call this the most Japanese piece of music we've heard so far in this OST? Well, for the following reason. It has to do with the chords, and it has to do with the descending bass lines that are created with the chords and the particular sequences of chords that are used. This is Japan. Oh, I'm going to spell that wrong, so I'm just going to put Japan. All right, yes, music is a strong suit. Spelling, not so much. All right, so we have a 1 to a flat 7, to a, maybe it's a 4 over 6, but then it's to the 5. So yeah, this might not actually be right here, but that's okay. The B section is really where it starts to sound Japanese. All right, so we've got this 4 to this 3 to this 2 to this 1. And if you're saying it sounds like anime music, butter my 5054, you know who you are. I'm not gonna say that full tag on air. You almost got me though. Yes, it sounds like anime music because it has those classic Japanese chord progressions baked into it. And the only way I know to call those Japanese chord progressions, by the way, is from sitting here and listening to dozens, if not hundreds, of OSTs on this channel. Certainly thousands of tracks, probably at this point hundreds of OSTs. It's like those are classic Japanese chord progressions. Like you don't hear that in American music, you hear that all over Japanese music. Really cool stuff. And let's keep it going. Yeah. Zod zegt exactly. I almost walked straight into it. All right. Which is also something she definitely didn't say. Let's go to Endless Mine. Oh, cool. Cool. All right, that's looping now. We're gonna go to the next one, which is competition results. Let me just grab that walk up there. Is that all it is? Right, okay. So in competition results, we're back in the key of C major. We're hearing a 1 to a 4, and then it walks up. 2 minor, the 3 minor, the 4 minor, excuse me, 4 major to 5, which creates a 2, 3, 4, 5 ascending bass line situation. Let's check out Final Boss. There's a rap piece that starts like this. This is It's Getting Hot in Here by Nelly. Guys, this is It's Getting Hot in Here by Nelly. You're never gonna unhear that. This is It's Getting Hot in Here by Nelly. I just want to let you know, the intro of It's Getting Hot in Here by Nelly, that's this. Let's keep it going. Oh my gosh. What a contrast from everything we've heard before. This reminds me a little bit of one of the pieces we heard in Sonic 2, in the sense it is like, how are you going to compare this to anything that's come before in the OST? Yeah, we have this moment of like tonal sanity, but everything else is like, I mean, yeah, total-ish. So what do we have? We have got a tritone to a fourth to a minor third in the key of E minor. And then sure enough, we go somewhere else here. Flat 6. So we got 1, flat 7, flat 6, flat 7, 1, 2, 1, 2, to flat 7 in first inversion, to flat 3, to 4. Really cool stuff there, hanging out in the final boss of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Even though that was the final boss, we are far from through. We're still going to be listening to the Snuckles add-on here, so stick with us. Don't go anywhere. Let's check out the ending. right, thank goodness. I was like, I haven't had to listen to this. Okay, it is looped, perhaps. Let's check out Carnival Night Zone. And before we do that, a piece of cool info we have from Music Sheep 98. It says, fun fact, sorry Music Sheep, I've seen your handle so many times and I don't know how it ends, but I just know you as Music Sheep. Yes, I know you as Music Sheep. Fun fact, Sonic & Knuckles is like an add-on cart that allowed other games to be inserted on top and add features, namely Sonic 3. With all the Sega Genesis peripherals, this led to memes such as the Tower of Sega. Sega. All right, we're gonna give a quick peruse through some of these prototypes here. Way more bass in these prototypes, I'll say that. Like, listen to that kick. All right, let's check out the next prototype. All right, let's check out Ice Cap Zone. These are different, some of them, huh? I mean, that literally sounds like the start of the Mario bonus theme from Super Mario World. Not exactly, but it's not far away. Beautiful. Let's check out the Ice Cap Zone Act 2 prototype. while we enjoy this, is a quick shout out and thank you to J2O Juiced for being the playlist producer for today's stream, and to everyone who helped out in Discord, making sure we had great music for today. So thank you guys so very much. Let's check out this next one. Actually, while this is playing, I want to let you know about a special new thing I've got set up for you. If you want to compose music, but you're like, man, I don't think I'm ready for like a full program, like where it's serious and we're actually like getting results of like, I'm gonna be releasing my music. If you want to start creating your own music, but you're not quite ready for the big leagues, we created a Pee-wee League for you. Pee-wee in the US means like for it's less serious. It's like for, you know, playing around, seeing what's going on. We just created a free community. If you're interested in composing your own music, come hang out. If you want to get some courses, it's an investment over there, but you come hang out. I'm gonna put the link here in the chat. That's gonna be a stream exclusive here for you. If you wanna come hang out in our community specifically for composing video game music, if you wanna create your own video game music. If you don't wanna create your own music, this is not for you. If you wanna create your own music, click on that, come hang out. Again, the community is free to join. All right, let's check out Launch Base Act 2 prototype. And that's the loop. Let's check out competition menu. Very groovy. Very groovy. Now let's check out Unused Track. Well, I definitely enjoyed listening to these prototypes. Type a P in the chat if you also enjoyed these prototypes. Now, we're not done. We're going to jump straight into Sonic and Knuckles title screen and get back in with the breakdowns. Let's do it. So title screen actually giving a nod to the original Sonic 1 and 2 title screens through key and chords. We're hearing the key of A major. Not only are we just hearing the key of A major, we're also hearing that beautiful flat 7 to 1 chord movement in the key of A major here in the title screen. We also heard those like drums from the Knuckles entrance music, whatever it was, Knuckles walk on tune, where it's just a beautiful groove. All right, let's keep cooking here with Mushroom Hill Zone Act 1. All right, so what are we hearing? So far in this Sonic and Knuckles OSTs, we're hearing the Knuckles drums. So Knuckles' theme, by the way, a lot of times when we look at different characters having a theme, they're gonna have something like a light motif. Light motif, so a motif being a musical idea, the smallest musical idea you can recognize, and then light basically means we're talking about a noun. So it's a person, place, or thing, or a situation sometimes, right? So we have a leitmotif. Now, what we can hear is, for Knuckles, there really isn't a leitmotif as such. We hear drums. And when we hear those like, those funky drums, that is Knuckles' motif. So anytime we hear funky drums from now on, I'm just gonna call those the Knuckles drums. I'm gonna call them Knuckles drums. If you've ever played the drums with your Knuckles, you know that that hurts a lot. So we know Knuckles is a tough son of a gun there, playing drums with his Knuckles. So those are the Knuckles drums. Let's check out Mushroom Hill Act 2. Whoa, loud mix there. Interesting. Oh, this is making so much sense. So let me show you something here. Listen to this. Right there. That right there is so loud compared to everything else. I never could put two and two together because I've got some ridiculously talented clients in my coaching group, and sometimes when they mix music, they make it sound like this. And I was going, what are you guys doing? Why are you making this stuff so loud? You gotta like turn this down, balance everything out, because by the modern standard for mixing, when you hear music, doesn't sound like this. This is clearly an older mixed piece of music, which by the way, we also heard in Sonic 3. We heard a couple moments where the music was so loud you literally could not hear what was happening behind it, and it was different elements in the mix being turned up so loud. It now makes so much sense, because if you're listening to this music as like your origin story for video game music, you're gonna think, oh, whenever we have things we want people to pay attention to, we should crank them so loud that they jump out of the speakers at you. And so that is a beautiful, beautiful insight for the mixing like this. Yes. And so this, by the way, you don't really hear in modern video game music mixed like this unless there's some type of sound effect or some comedic effect or something that you want to have bring attention to. So very interesting choice, and likely mixed this way to get the old-fashioned TV speakers to get the thing to communicate it correctly. Now here we are with our beautiful headphones and our iThings and our, little speakers and all our modern technology, and we're going, wait, hang on a second. Exactly. Bardy09 says it's not that loud in the game. Interesting. Yep. Interesting. All right, let's keep it going to the next one. Which, by the way, sometimes you have a different mix in the game versus when you actually release the OST. And that's also a modern thing. So it's like, I will mix and master a piece of music, send it to the developer to put in the game, and it's good. Then for the OST release, I might actually get one of my buddies, who's a 2-time Grammy-winning, 1-time Oscar-winning mastering and mixing engineer. His name's Robert L. Smith. He's insane. I'll get him to mix and master the stuff for going out for the OST. Because it's the official release. It's just only the music. It didn't loop. Okay, we'll keep listening to it. Yeah, no, it's looping. All right, Flying Battery Zone. Whoever called out the James Bond has got great ears. So in the middle of that, we have this. And that right there, by the way, that James Bond thing, we can think about that as being a minor 1 chord. We got a 1 minor chord. That's a little messy. Let's make that a little cleaner. We got a, there we go, 1 minor to 1 minor with a flat 6. And then we have a 1 minor 6, and then back to the 1 minor flat 6. Ah, absolutely gorgeous. Let's keep it going to Flying Battery Zone Act 2. Woo! Nelly, that is high. All right, we're skipping to the next one. I'm making an executive call. Gorgeous. So Sandopolis, no, I'm not, that other thing was hurting my ears. And ever since we did Lisa the Painful, I made a promise to myself that if something was hurting my ears, I'm what's gonna stick through it. All right, so Sandopolis Zone Act 1. And by the way, if that wasn't hurting your ears, go get your hearing checked. And I mean that for real. Like seriously, like go, I don't care what your age is, go get your hearing checked if that did not hurt your ears. Okay, now, what we can hear in Sandopolis Zone 1 is actually a callback to Sonic 2 in the sense that we have this 1 and 5 vibe going on here over almost the entire piece. That's 1 to 5, and then it hung out on 5 for quite some time there in the B section or C section, whatever that was, and then came back to the 1. So that's the 1 and the 5 hanging out again, and then in terms of the notes, what we heard was something along those lines. We had something like a let's take this back for a second. Yeah, we're hearing a harmonic minor there for the most part. So we're hearing the notes are gonna be an A, B, C, D, E, F, and then a G sharp right there at the end, bringing us back to the A. So we've got a minor pentachord, then we've got flat 6, and then regular 7, back to 1. That gets us the harmonic minor. Let's keep it going to the next one, which is gonna be Sandopolis Zone Act 2. This is the 5. Still the 5. All right, beautiful. Let's keep this cooking to Lava Reef Zone. Have we heard that melody before? Is that Sonic? Or Mario Kart maybe? All right. So chord progression here, we're hearing a 1 to a flat 6 to a flat 7, which if it's reminding you of Sonic 1 would be correct. So we heard chord progressions like this all over Sonic 1. We're hearing it again here in Lava Reef. Let's listen to Lava Reef Zone Act 2. See if we can hear any differences here. Oh, this is different now. Come on now. That's different. Yeah, it is a little Phoenix, right, isn't it? 1. Again, the 1. There to flat 6. So the difference between Lava Reef Zone Act 1 and Lava Reef Zone Act 2 in this Sonic and Knuckles OST is that we have in Act 1 this 1 flat 6 to flat 7 chord progression. Whereas in Act 2, it's the 1 minor for some duration of time, and then it just goes to the flat 6 here for duration of time, and then back to the 1. There's no flat 7. And there's no like B section in the same way we heard a different B section in Act 1. But the common element here really is the key of A minor in both cases. Oop, there we go, A minor. And using the 1 and the flat 6. Let's keep going to Sky Sanctuary Zone. Ooh, cool. So in Sky Sanctuary Zone, we're hearing a pretty cool chord progression in the key of C major. What are we hearing? We're hearing a C major, and then a C major over B flat, then a F in first inversion, then to flat 6 to flat 7. So what does that create? That creates a descending bass line where the notes go down. It's like they're walking downstairs. And then they walk back up the stairs. Really beautiful stuff. Now the way you can create a descending bass line here, if we look at the actual notes, we've got a 1 as the lowest note, scale degree 1, scale degree flat 7, scale degree 6, scale degree flat 6. So from 7 down to flat 6 is chromatic. We talked about that back in Sonic and 3, part 3 earlier in this video. And then we go up a whole step to flat 7, which brings us back to 1, if we so choose. All right, let's keep it cooking with Death Egg Zone. What a name. So Death Egg Zone Act 1, really interesting harmony going on underneath this melody. So it's basically it's in C major, right? So it's in C major the whole time, but at the start, it's basically like it has a 5 and it sounds mixolydian. Now, mixolydian is where we take all the notes of a C major and we start, well, you take all the notes of any major scale, remember that's a whole half, and you start on the 5th scale degree. So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We're going to start on G. So we got G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then the notes we'll emphasize as our home tones are going to be G, B, and D. Now, it goes from here to the flat 7. Again, emphasizing an idea of a, well, that's bringing in a C mixolydian with a B flat in and of itself, because C mixolydian, C is the 5th of F, so it's all the notes of an F major scale starting on C. Now, the change we can see happening here is in the B section. This is the A section. Now, the B section is we have a flat 6, flat 7 to 1 in the key of C. That's that Mario Victory chord progression. Really, this has got to be one of the more interesting in terms of novel meaning new, at least to me, chord progressions we've heard in this Death Egg Zone Act 1. Let's check out Death Egg Zone Act 2 and keep this thing rocking. Basically the same piece, just sped up. Let's check out Doomsday Zone. Oh my. Tell me this is a boss fight of some sort. This is so cool. Now listen to how the drums have changed here, right? So if we go back and we listen to what the drums sound like here in like Mushroom Hill Zone, these drums seem jolly in comparison to what's going on here in Doomsday Zone. These drums have an urgency to them. It's metal drums for sure in terms of taking references from a genre in particular. But there's this urgency, this forward movement, the compared to the kind of funky, groovy fun that the drums were having before. Type a D in the chat if you can hear that difference in the drums and you can see how those drums and feel how those drums are creating a difference in the feeling you're experiencing in your body just listening to the music. All right, let's keep it cooking with Act 1 Boss. There's that James Bond. Same key. Wow. So before, when we were talking about that James Bond moment, what we can hear is literally this same exact movement in the same exact key as what we were talking about before. So talk about an inter-OST connection. It is, well, inter would be between two different ones. No, it's between two different pieces in the same OST. I'm gonna call it. This, sure enough, does sound like a boss, but interestingly enough, at least to my ears, the Doomsday Zone compared to the Act 1 boss, Doomsday Zone sounds substantially more threatening, at least to my ears, than the boss theme. And I think that's an interesting contrast. I don't know the story. You've got to tell me what was happening in Doomsday Zone that was so much more like, well, let me ask you this. Did we have a potential for victory in Doomsday Zone, or was it like we had to get to a certain level of defeat where we just could not get to the place where we needed to, and the only way we can get to where we need to is actually in Act 1 boss? Let me know if I'm kind of sussing the story out correctly. If I am, put an S in the chat for story, because if that is the case, then the music makes a lot more sense, because it's felt to me like in Doomsday Zone, there was no hope of victory. Oh, Doomsday Zone is the final boss. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Because it seems, yeah, is the final boss. Great. Okay, yeah. Makes a lot more sense. All right, cool. Let's check out Theme of Knuckles. Hold on. Hold the phone. We're getting some music. We're getting some notes, not just drums. Let's check this out. All right, so in Theme of Knuckles, we have, I'm actually gonna break down Knuckles' theme. Something like that. What was it exactly? Let's get a little juice on this. All right. There we go. I'm paraphrasing here. So if we were to break down Knuckles' melody, we have num 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 num. I'm gonna call that, well, that's kind of long for motif, but I'm gonna call that motif A just for right now. Num 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 da 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 da. And then we're gonna call motif ba ba bum ba 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 bum ba. I'm gonna call that motif B, and then we go back with some variation in the rhythm. Da 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 da. So we get motif A, and then we get motif C. If you're starting to spot a pattern here, it should be something like that. But the point is, we have A, B, A, C in terms of the motif pattern. And if you're wondering where we've seen that before, we sure have seen that before. Where was it? Over here, A, B, A, C. So we can see that there's a method to the motifs, and indeed a method to the melodies here in this overall Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles OST, that the melodies are following a similar break. Then even though the melody notes are different, at the core fundamental level of the structure of the melody, they're actually quite similar. Let's check out Invincible. Beautiful. Let's check out Ending. Ah, similar to Invincible. Interesting. So Invincible and Ending, very similar here, and we're straight through to the credits. Listen to that mix. Wow. What an incredible group of OSTs, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. Incredible, incredible music, incredible grooves. We learned so much. We learned about the cool factor of 1 to 4 and the 1 to 5 difference. We saw connections to Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 along the way and had a ton of fun exploring this first time listen ever to the Sonic 3 and Sonic Knuckles OST. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to watch the next video in my Sonic reaction series and breakdown series, you're going to click over here in just a moment. It's going to come in just a moment. Before you do that, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. You made it all the way to the end of the stream. Not everyone can make it that far, and I just want to honor, appreciate, and acknowledge you for making it here with me. All right, go ahead, click up here to watch the next in the stream series, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.